Hi, starting with a new topic, but again from the same section, section B 2.1, Regional and Settlement Planning. So this topic is on housing for special areas and needs. In our previous topic, we saw about housing standards. So this should be a continuation to know about if the buildings have been constructed on special areas, how should it be done? And first of all, what are the special areas? That is what we are going to see in this particular topic. Now the topic says housing for special areas and needs. Which are the special areas which you know? What are special areas? Let us not think much about it. As this particular topic is from the section Town Planning, let us go for URDPFI guidelines. Under URDPFI guidelines, there are sections for regional planning and there are sections for urban planning. Under those sections, they have mentioned certain topics based on special areas, which we are going to see here. And what are those special area topics that they have discussed and which we are going to see are eco-sensitive areas, socio-economic sensitive areas, cantonment areas, building norms for natural habitat, historical or archaeological areas, industrial regions, and introduce use of form-based codes. Probably this particular might not be much relevant, but up till here is very important. So we'll see this one also. So these are the certain norms or data which has been given in the URDPFI guidelines for the topic eco sensitive areas. Although you don't have to completely memorize all these stuff, I'll just tell you what is important, but make sure you have to memorize these. First, try to understand what is an eco-sensitive area. The eco-sensitive area are basically fragile ecosystem. So you can read it. Eco-sensitive area is a designation provided to area which has a very diverse yet fragile ecosystem. Now, what is an example of eco-sensitive area? They have also given you an example. Western Ghats is one of the ecologically sensitive areas in the country, and that Western they are planning to protect the Western Ghats now. Okay. Now, here they have laid out certain measures on how they are planning to protect and preserve it. River basin level planning and decentralized management of water resources, sustainable strategy of livestock development, okay, livestock development around, convert tea estates to organic production, promote systems of providing incentives for people working under conservation efforts, strengthening the rural development to provide more of non-timber produce, promote industries and services that involve dematerialization, example commerce, teleconferencing, promote education hubs and special incentives should be given to agro-based fruit and food processing industries. The zoning atlas for siting of industries should be used as a tool for decision making at various levels for industry, regulatory authorities and the general public. Exclusion of mining from ecologically sensitive areas or zone. So, exclusion of mining. Okay. Now they are giving you certain measures on how to develop the ecologically sensitive areas. So here they are saying identification. So basically the basic unit of development. This is a very important line. I would want you to memorize it. Okay. This also you have to memorize. These you just understand. That's enough. See, the basic unit of development of the eco-sensitive areas can be a watershed. So what is a watershed? Watershed is basically an area which drains the water, okay, to the next level stream or river, next water body level, which is manageable hydrological unit and covers. Now they are telling the development approach shall consist of the following steps, which are identification and acquisition of the spatial and non-spatial data. What is spatial and non-spatial data? Just locating the spots geographically. Identification of the formal region on the basis of homogeneity of demographic and economic characteristics and sharing of natural resources. Creation of the thematic layers overlay. So they are basically identifying it using the GIS software, and they are telling to create the thematic layers, overlay and interpretation for developing an integrated approach for conservation and development. So in our previous slide, we saw about ecologically sensitive areas. Ecologically sensitive areas, and we also saw an example which is Western Ghats. Now they are speaking about the protection of socio-economic sensitive areas. Socially, economically sensitive areas. Which are they? Here they have given you a brief about socio-economic sensitive areas, which I will want you to read and understand as well, but I'll also tell you these are areas which lack the basic amenities, basic requirements or basic amenities, their needs. What are those basic amenities and who are they? And they are giving certain examples such that there are certain tribal areas where they lack certain basic amenities. Here basic amenities means health and education, and for which they have also given an example, northeastern states. See, the tribal areas, they lack this health and education, and an example given for that is northeastern states. Now, how are they going to look forward for it? They are saying any, okay, to bring out any changes in that particular area, the regional council or the district council can take an upper hand, and in with due course they can promote the interest of the inhabitants of any village or town by making any of the alterations. So they have the power to make laws with respect to the allotment, occupation or use or setting apart of the land other than any land which is a reserved forest for the purpose of agriculture or grazing, or for residential or other non-agricultural purposes also, or for any other purpose likely, which they can do all this on what aspect? To promote the interest of those inhabitants of that particular village or town. So, let us just go through the land classification given in the regional planning. You will also be seeing this particular table in our upcoming videos as well, but it is better and it is also good to see it twice or thrice. It will get memorized for you easily. First, you will have to understand that there are 7 different zones. All the zones has been classified into 7 categories. And what are they? Urbanizable, industrial, transportation, primary, open area, protective and eco-sensitive, special area. If you see under open area, we can see recreation and buffer areas. Primary activities are agriculture, poultry, rural settlements, brick-in and extractive areas. Transportation, your roadway, then roadway, railway, airport, seaport, bus ports, see, bus depots, transmission and communication. And what are those urbanizable zones? The zones which can get urbanized. The existing zone, any new zone, potential for urban development zones, okay. No subtopics for industrial zones. Industrial zone is an industrial zone. Protective and eco-sensitive zones. So these are water bodies, special recreation zone, forest zone, coastal zone, undevelopable use zone. Then your special area zones, which are heritage and conservation area, scenic values and tourism, government restricted area, other uses or spot zone. This, it is advisable that you memorize it. Any part of the question paper, we can definitely expect it under the match the following type. So the next special area which we are going to see is the cantonment area. Cantonment area, in my understanding, and I can just brief you about it, is generally the military people. Okay, where the military people are quartered, where they are made to reside over that particular area, where all their purposes are being given, or all their requirements are being hubbed up over. That particular zone is called cantonment area. Now we will see it as a definition itself. See, cantonment areas are places or places along with boundaries in which any part of the armed forces is quartered in a region amidst civil population. The overall municipal administration of the notified cantonments is the functional of cantonment boards, which are local bodies comprising democratically elected representative of the residents of the cantonments as well as official members on a 50-50 basis. So this, yeah, from here to here it's not required much for you. Now you also have to know about the cantonment categories. There are four different categories based on the population. More than 50,000, category 1, or you can start with category 4, it is up to 2500, category 3 is 2500, then 1 to 10,000, category 2 is 10,000 and 1 to 50,000, and more than 50,000 is category 1. So category 1 would be the prime zone. Now land use and cantonment. Here they have classified into three classes. Class A is reserved for specific military purposes and is managed by military authorities only. Class B is reserved for military administration. So the admins are over here, admin department for central government departments, railways, state government and agricultural land used by private persons on lease. Vacant land managed by the defense estate officer. Now your class C is about occupied or used for municipal purposes such as markets, roads, ranges, gardens, etc. It is managed by cantonment board. So class A is managed by military authorities, class B is managed by defense estate officer, class C is managed by the cantonment board. And there are three different purposes. Class A is for military purpose only, class B has multi-purpose like the administrative purpose of certain government bodies, and class C is basically on the municipal purposes. That is a simplified version which I can tell you. So, what are the planning strategies for cantonment areas? These are planning strategies. Strategy number 1 and strategy number 2. Two strategies are there. So, strategy number 1, what are they saying? To control the overall area in absence of land use specifications, which results into shopping areas. Okay, in the cantonment residential areas. Calls for the need for preparation of development plans or master plan. Here, efforts shall be made by the cantonment board or by joint committee for formulation of a detailed development plan. The norms and standards given in the guideline may be adopted with modification for planning the civilian areas at the cantonment. Some specific planning aspects to include are. So these are totally not necessary for you to memorize, just go through it. And again on the strategy 2 they are speaking about another approach for planning exercise by JNNRUM scheme. What is JNNRUM? Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission, where comprehensive development plan and comprehensive mobility plan are required, shall be prepared by the local authorities in consultation with the cantonment board and approved by the Ministry of Defence for raising the funds under the scheme. Okay. So here they are planning two different strategies to control the overall area amidst the shopping zones which are coming up, which are budding up on the cantonment areas. And secondly, they are telling about the strategy of planning a detailed development program or the mobility program. Okay. So how are they planning is what is given over here. I'm not getting too much detailed into it. While you're going through this PPT, have it a glimpse. I would not recommend you to go beyond the glimpse. Now next we are going to see about the provisions for the hilly areas. Again, there are certain norms given in your URDPFI guidelines. They have told for all the categories of institutions, buildings, hospitals, which has to be provided for how many population, how many units should be given, and at what area, land area it has to be provided. I am very sorry to tell you, but you will have to memorize this complete data. The reason is it is very important. Even it has been asked even in your previous question paper GATE 2022. In GATE 2022 they have asked about the dispensaries and the population on how much it has to be served. In previous question papers, even I remember they have even asked questions like how many higher secondary schools are required for 1 lakh population. In that case, only if you know how many units for how many persons one senior secondary school, and at what is the land area required for one senior secondary school, only if you know this data you can solve the question. Though it is a numeric question, you should know the data. Either it is 2500 or 5000 people. For every 5000 people, one senior secondary school should be there. For every 2500, for every 7500, one senior secondary school should be there. That data, that you only after you memorize it you will know that data. Only if you know that data you can substitute and go for solving that particular problem. And most of the time, whenever they use these particular data and ask questions, that will be for 2 marks only. So you cannot leave 2 marks so easily, right? You will have to memorize this. Here are certain categories like for the schools, okay? They are saying this is with respect to hilly areas only. So I would suggest you the same table you will get for plain areas. Okay, there the data will differ for the schools or dispensaries. Everywhere the data will differ. At how many distance one unit has to be provided, that will also differ. So what I suggest you is maintain a note in your note wherever you take the notes. Compare and write the table so that you can understand, okay, in hilly area in 1 to 2 kilometers itself one school should be present, whereas in plain areas between 5 to 10 kilometers one school is enough. That comparison will really help you to memorize this. Okay, so here they have given for how much population one primary school should be there, and between how many and between at what distance primary school should be there, and each primary school should be of what area. So they have given for different categories. Also it is a continuation of your previous table. See, they have given for college, professional college, university. If there should be a university in a hilly area, then how should for how many people population one university should be there. And see the dispensaries. For every 2500 people, one dispensary should be there at a distance of 2 to 4 kilometers between another dispensary. Veterinary center, hospital with 200 to 250 beds, and other facilities. See, milk booth should be there at every 2 to 4 kilometers. For every 10,000 people, one milk booth should be there. Community welfare center, cremation ground, and see rural post office, the post office, police station, fire station, all of these data are given. This might be definitely hard for you, but I'm telling you, going through it second time or third time will definitely not be hard. And also follow what I've told you. Compare two tables, then it is very easy for understanding. You can compare it with the hill station whichever you have traveled, and you can just recall it and think, did you find any police station over how many police stations you found over that particular hill station? If you have found only one, then see here. See, for police station, they have given us every 15,000 people one police station, and every 5 to 10 kilometers one police station. On a plane, 5 to 10 kilometers is just, it depends upon the city, which is like 10 minutes drive to 30 minutes drive only. But on a hill station, 5 to 10 kilometers can take nearly 1.5 hours to 2 hours. So that is the distance on a hill station. Okay, so that is why for every 5 to 10 kilometer there is one police station, but in plain it will differ. So finally there are only few things: building norms for natural habitat. Here they are saying what are the natural habitat, and they are telling you that for any development that has to happen over these natural habitat, this MOEF is only responsible. Who is this MOEF? Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change. Okay, I'll also tell you, see what are the no, what are those natural habitat, water bodies, forest and vegetation, green open spaces, coastal zone, wetlands shall be protected, and adequate buffer shall be provided from the planned establishments. So over around these natural habitat, certain buffer zones will be created, Okay, let me highlight this also, it's important. And for planning around these areas, the building norms and regulations are stipulated by the respective statutory bodies such as MOEF and State Environment and Forest Department shall be applicable. Over this video, I would suggest you, see, I'm sure you cannot memorize the whole thing, but the basic things are, there are different areas being listed out over here. We saw ecological sensitive areas, then economically sensitive areas, socio-economic sensitive areas, hilly areas, and such. Now you should be able to, at least after this video, you should be able to at least recognize what are those ecologically sensitive areas, or if somebody tells you there are socio-economic zones, then you should be able to understand what are those and what are the natural habitat area, historically archaeological areas. Those at least you should be able to identify out of this video. Other data on your second and third revision. Okay. Now coming to your historical or archaeological areas. The special area shall be identified as, what are the historical and archaeological areas? They are old built up areas, areas of historical or archaeological importance, areas of scenic value, area restricted for development by government, or area under other uses or spot zone during preparation of development plan. I'll stop it over here. So these are the areas, historical areas or archaeological areas. Now they are subjected to which particular authority? For protection of these areas, the norms are stipulated by the respective statutory bodies such as Archaeological Survey of India and respective departments shall be applicable. As per the model building laws, building bylaws, buildings within heritage precincts or in the vicinity of the heritage sites shall maintain the skyline in the precinct and follow the architectural style. See, for example, if there is a heritage, if there is a heritage site near your building, or if you're in your building terrace, on your building terrace, and if you're able to see a particular heritage value site, okay, it is in your vicinity distance, that means your building should follow a certain skyline. Okay, your building cannot be tall, or your building cannot dominate over there. See, shall maintain the skyline in the precinct and follow the architectural style without any high rise, no high rise or multi-story development as may be existing in the surrounding area. So continuation of that, they are saying that for any heritage site within 200 meters, okay, if the heritage site is over here, mark the 200-meter radius. Within that particular radius, any buildings should not be constructed violating the skyline regulations, or it should not be even multi-storied building. Okay, and that is what been mentioned over here. For here, they haven't said much. They are speaking about for any development which has to happen in the industrial zone, then they are asking us to refer to certain policies. That's all. And over here, they are saying introducing a form-based codes. For each particular activity, introduce a certain codes which will help for the development is what they are saying. See, in view of current urban form of Indian city, an approach may be adopted to the form the image of city through form-based code. In addition to the development promotion regulation, this can act as a technique for regulating development. It can help for development, okay, to achieve a specific urban form, and it creates a predictable public realm. So when you create particular, like we saw, how the regions have been classified into 7 zones. Now imagine if the 7 zones are given certain codes and colors over the urban plan, you will be able to identify which has been clustered and which has been located at a appropriate distance, or which has been located very close. So that can be identified with the use of that study. Other developments can be planned. The different parameters used to zone the city into different transits are land use intensity, density, building disposition, building or configuration, building function, standards, mixed use and neighborhood. So with this, we are at the end of the lecture. I think we have only 101 topics more to be covered. Okay.